Joining me now, National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd. Brandon, good to see you. What is being done to stop this by this administration?
Absolutely nothing, and that's what's unfortunate. But when you look at the reason, you always have to look at the cause and effect. And what's taking place right now is you're seeing a country like China that is now exploiting all of our weaknesses. The vast majority of fentanyl is estimated to be manufactured in China. It's a lot easier to manufacture fentanyl than it is heroin. Fentanyl is more addictive than heroin, and it is a lot more deadly than heroin. So if you look at all of those things, and then you look at the border security measures, the policies that this administration has in place, it is ripe to be exploited by countries like China, and yet this administration continues to ignore everything that crosses the border, whether it's drugs or even diseases like COVID. They ignore it as long as it's coming across the southwest border. They pretend like there's nothing wrong with the southwest border, and that is having consequences here in the United States. People are dying here because of this administration's policies.
The COVID plague that came from China killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, and this fentanyl plague is still raging and worsening, and there's no action from the Biden administration. What is it going to take to change the narrative? Is it angry parents and relatives who see their loved ones dying every day?
Yeah, the only thing that's going to push this administration to do the right thing is if cities like Chicago, even Philadelphia, if in those cities the public rises up and lets their elected officials know that they're extremely upset, then those elected officials will put the pressure on this administration to do the right thing. But it has to come from Democrats. The Republicans can scream and yell about this as much as they want, and this administration completely and totally ignores Republicans. So the Democrats actually have to do the right thing, step up to the plate, and force this administration to actually put in place policies that is going to protect U.S. citizens.
Lee Carter, jump in.
So the border and these related issues are where the Biden administration is scoring among the worst. And he's got some really bad polls across the board. Only 23% of Americans approve of the situation at the border. And yet many Democrats dismiss people who are concerned about the border as either being racist or xenophobic, and all of these other name calling where people have real genuine concerns, one of them being about the drugs that are coming into this country. And so I think a lot of people are really frustrated that they have these fears, they have these very real concerns that are based on facts and all of these things that we're seeing, and they're being dismissed. And so my big question is, this could be one of the big issues of the midterms, the biggest probably being the economy, but this is also a really big issue. And my question here is, what do you think Republicans could run on that they could say that they could do differently immediately outside of the border wall?
Well, there's a lot that the Republicans can step in and say. If you look at the migrant protection protocols, it all starts with illegal immigration. We can control the drug flow if we control illegal immigration. So we have to start there. If you look at what is currently happening with the number of agents that we have on patrol, in certain sectors, 90% of our resources are in processing because we're being flooded by illegal immigration. If 90% of our resources aren't even on the border, then there's going to be holes and gaps in our coverage, and they're going to be able to exploit it with the drug traffic. So what we have to do is we have to cut down on illegal immigration, and we've already proven how that can be done. You start it by holding people in custody, stop releasing them, stop the catch and release. Once you do that, then we can go after the criminality, such as the drug trade on the border. But until we get illegal immigration under control, the drugs are going to continue to flow across the border.
And just one more thing before we go, Brandon, whatever happened to the investigation into the border agents on horseback that were accused falsely of whipping migrants? And even the president himself stood up and talked and accused these border agents of strapping immigrants. The inspector general in the Department of Homeland Security never even took up the investigation. Remember, Mayorkas said it was going to happen in days. Where is that? I know that there is. Remember, Biden said, oh, people are going to pay. Well, those migrants have actually filed suit against, I think it was against the U.S. government, filed a lawsuit over the treatment of the border agency. Where's the investigation to prove that Biden and all of his ilk lied and vilified those border agents?
The investigation is ongoing simply because they have to find some fault. They haven't been able to find any fault as of yet, and because of that reason, they haven't closed it out. If they close this investigation out without finding any fault, then Biden is going to have egg on his face, and there is no investigator out there right now that is going to show their boss up by doing that. So the investigation continues on. It's just going to continue on until they can trump up some evidence that shows that they did something wrong.
Just incredible lies straight out of this administration over and over again. Brandon, Judd, meanwhile, people are dying of COVID poisoning. I mean, COVID and fentanyl poisoning every single day. Brandon, Judd, thank you so much.